Coming up in today's video, we're going to be talking about some huge news surrounding a new AEW signing. Also, the reported plans for Chris Jericho in his WWE return. And yes, we are going to talk about what Triple H is promising for tonight's WWE Raw. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you never miss a video on the channel. And trust me, you don't want to miss a video on this channel because there's a lot of things happening in professional wrestling, just like Triple H. Triple H right now is promising something epic for tonight's episode of WWE Raw. It is December 1st. It is Monday. And of course, WWE just concluded with Survivor Series War Games this weekend, which was met with a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't enjoy it. A lot of people are just negative. A lot of people are just positive. I don't know. It just seems like a crazy ass idea where not everybody is going to enjoy absolutely everything out there, and that's completely fine. And I don't really see a big issue with that. But Triple H was obviously on the WWE post show, and he said that there was so many questions, so many unanswered things. Who was the masked man? All of those things. You want to come away from not being answered or sitting in front of you. Monday night is going to be epic. And of course, WWE and Triple H is notorious for this. I have long criticized Tony Khan and Triple H overhyping episodes only for them to underdeliver. And perhaps maybe this is the same situation. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I mean, yes, I truly believe that the masked man was Austin Theory. I believe we will get that reveal on Monday Night Raw, which I think is a good idea. I think that's going to be very exciting. But I think there's going to be people there who naturally don't care about that. And I think there's going to be people naturally who just, they're going to look for a reason to hate on absolutely everything in professional wrestling, regardless of the company. It's not even about tribalism anymore. I think people just love the idea of being negative about absolutely every single aspect in professional wrestling. And that's just the nature of the beast. But what else can you deliver us that will be epic? Will we see AJ Lee? Will we see some shocker for the John Cena tournament? Like, what are you going to deliver that's going to make this episode feel so special, so unique, so different? I think that's a legitimate question. And I think that's a valid question to ask because WWE, as I've said, they have consistently done this thing where, you know, Triple H, hey, we've delivered an amazing pay-per-view. We deliver shocking moments, this and that. I think really what it comes down to is stop talking about how your product is going to be epic. That's my advice. Don't talk about how epic your events are going to be. Talk about it when the fans are tremendously happy with your event. That's the way I look at it. Let your actions of the show determine what will be epic or not. Don't overhype and then underdeliver. It makes for a really bad time. That brings us to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Jericho. We've heard that he's potentially coming back to WWE. We don't have confirmation that he's 100% coming back to WWE. We really don't know what his next career move is. In fact, it's actually really hard to know what's going to happen because his contract technically isn't even up with AEW until the end of 2025. And right now it's the beginning of December, not the end of December. So we don't know when his contract is up. But of course, Dave Meltzer, who is notoriously good at taking speculation and turning it into a story, is basically coming out and saying that this is all based on Chris Jericho's decision, but all the hints are pointing to WWE being the destination for Chris Jericho. He says, I know that WWE has offered him a retirement storyline, and those in WWE have said that's what they'd be interested in. Others expect him to be there early next year, but nothing is confirmed. And of course, that's a very interesting point. Because, you know, if Chris Jericho is under contract with AEW, that would in fact be contract tampering. But we don't really know any of the details here. I mean, we know that he signed to AEW, so I don't imagine WWE would directly go to Chris Jericho and say, hey, we're going to offer you a retirement storyline. But on the flip side of that, on the flip side of what Dave Meltzer is reporting here, I will say, to his credit, this does sound quite logical. I've said this months ago, even when we first got the inklings that Chris Jericho is potentially on his way out, I said, I imagine that they're going to do a retirement storyline similar to what they've done with, Goldberg or John Cena, and I think Chris Jericho coming in and retiring makes a lot of sense with WWE. I think Chris Jericho going to WWE and having a retirement storyline makes the most sense. Going into the Hall of Fame makes the most sense. But I think we will see Chris Jericho working backstage with WWE for AAA. I fully anticipate Chris Jericho working between NXT and AAA. I believe he will, just like how The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and all these guys have a little bit of a career there. I think that's where we see Chris Jericho. And I think if you're Chris Jericho, it makes all the sense in the world. And then, by the way, he has Talk is Jericho, which would then become part of Fanatics. And WWE will utilize that. And he's going to be making money and more money. And he'll be set. Even after in-ring competition, I think there's more for him. So I think after having that belief, I think this just makes the most sense. And to be fair, it's probably going to happen. And that brings us to our final topic, ladies and gentlemen. Over the weekend, we have learned of a new AEW signing, and it is, in fact, WWE's Caden Carter. Caden Carter, though, obviously goes by the name of Lacey Lane, and she is now signed to AEW. We have seen her appear here and there in AEW and Ring of Honor. Now it's been confirmed that she's signed with the company, and obviously AEW had interest in her, and that's a phenomenal thing. That's a great thing. A lot of people are wondering what's happening with Casey Catanzaro because that was her tag team partner in WWE. Some people are speculating that maybe there's a relationship issue there. I don't think that would be the case. I don't like speculating on stuff like that, but a lot of people have kind of been wondering, okay, well, hold on. AEW is doing this women's tag team division, and Casey Catanzaro makes a lot of sense to join, Lacey Lane, and we haven't seen that. But for AEW, I think Caden Carter is a great talent, and I think we'll see her more probably in Ring of Honor. But of course, you know how it is in AEW. You can work Ring of Honor and sometimes Dynamite or Collision, and obviously she's been very impressive to them, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I mean, she's a good talent. She's a good talent. I don't know if she'll ever amount to being a world champion in AEW. I don't know if AEW will position her in a way like they've done with Mercedes or now what they're doing with Chris Statlander or Tony Storm, but I do think to a certain extent she's going to be a great asset to the company, and she's very clearly good at putting on matches. So for AEW, when their whole ideology is where the best people wrestle, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, she's a great performer, so go ahead and throw her in the ring. Now, you would like to see some of these people come in and get a nice big push or, maybe a huge character change or something. But we'll see how that all transpires, obviously, with AEW signing her and bringing her in. Like, that's the start of it. But it does go to show you, right? Like, we saw what happened with Tegan Nox and Miranda Alize. And, they may have ruffled some feathers backstage. And perhaps going out there and having a 3-minute match could have led to them actually getting signed by the company. It's very, very hard to say what to have expected here. But for Caden Carter, Lacey Lane, I mean, she's going to be, a lot of people speak very highly of her, even when she was back in WWE and NXT. And even when you're not being positioned as the top star, if you're carrying yourself with class and professionalism, you typically get rewarded. And I think for AEW, this is one of those things where it's like, hey, you got a good talent, see what happens. And yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.